Okay.
Well, let's transition there, Noah. The last SEC series I want to talk about is the one that you had flops on the ground for. Kentucky hosting number one Texas. We talked about it on Thursday where we thought this was a spot where Texas could trip up, and they almost did. Like Kentucky held their own and they won a game. They didn't get swept. But tell us more about this series, and I'll give you 6 minutes to talk about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, man, I'm not as good as Jack. I think as recapping everything that I saw. I get tunnel vision and I just lock into the game and kind of forget it afterwards. But um, in this series, Texas won game one. Like that game was a completely different game than the final two games of this series. Kentucky out hit Texas in game two and game three. Kentucky got the short end of the stick when it came to umpires in the second game. That's kind of where the story begins for me watching the series. Texas won the first uh, 16 innings of this series when it comes to game one and in game two. Sixth inning, you get Ethan Hindle up at the bat. He, coming into the game, was tied for 20th in most hit by pitches per player in the entire nation. He gets drilled in the shoulder. The umpire calls him out because there was two strikes because the umpire said that he leaned into the, like, over the plate and got hit. Ethan Hindle, in my humble point of view, was a statue, did not move. That call was made because of his reputation that he has of getting hit by pitches. He got hit by a pitch in game three. He's now tied for seventh with the most in the country. Okay. Anyways, Nick Mingione runs out on the field, arguing with the umpire. Momentum of that game flips. From there on out, Texas tallied 3 hits in that game. 3 hits. It went 15 innings. Kentucky in the ninth inning, guess who comes up to the plate? Ethan Hindle, the kid that was standing at the plate, gets Mingione thrown out of the game. 3-2, they're down by one. Ball finds the barrel. Bomb. Game tied. Momentum of the game completely flipped. And bar you, like Kentucky had been guys on base in the seventh, eighth, and ninth inning, or not the ninth, but the seventh and eighth leading up to that point, right? Uh, the entire crowd against the umpires and Texas in this momentum completely flips. Simon Gregerson on the bump comes into the game with an ERA in the sevens, 4+ shutty, like no traffic whatsoever, smooth sailing, impressive as hell from the kid. And our guy Devin Burks, Pencil Talk Pod alum from last season, we got him back. He's going to be on the Pencil Talk Pod this week for the midweek. Scores the first run of the game from a double that he had in the first inning. To begin the 15th inning, he gets on base. I think it was a walk. Kentucky, I mean, they're showing bunt 18 at bats of this game in 15 innings. It's nuts. It's a completely different style of baseball. And I'll get to the comparisons of these two squads. They bunt. Galvan, who had a great offensive series, throws the ball away. It was tough because the runner was right on the line. Tough play to make, right? Devin Burks, 15 innings behind the plate. He talked about this in the Pencil Talk Pod. He had nothing left, just all gas, all guts. Gets to home, slides in head first, and it wasn't even a close play. Running around with their heads cut off. Game two was fantastic for as little action as there was. I'm telling you, outstanding game. My takeaway from this thing, you got Texas, the bluest of blue bloods. They looked the part, man. When every single guy 1 through 9 can do damage. You look at Kentucky, and I was texting you guys this. Man, it's just an incredible coaching job from Nick Mingione, because man, their 3-hitter, Patrick Herrera, who has kind of, not excelled through the first 2 years of this program. He was a Northwestern transfer, I believe.
He's batting 3 this year, and he was a guy that didn't get a ton of at bats last season. When he's in the squat in a batting stance, he's 5'9". Like, that's not an SEC 3 hitter, but even more to his credit and Mingion's credit, he's batting over 300. It was 333, I think, and every time he comes up the bat, the entire stadium does like this whole like they're into his walk up song. And when he steps up to the bat, it's finest. Uh, game 3, Ruger Riojas, after 15 innings of bullpen, comes out and gives them 7 strong, gigantic, humongous for Texas baseball. X factor to that win. Will Gasparino got hot once again in game 3. Ryan Galvan, like I said, huge series. Texas gets the win. Nick McKay and Ethan Cleaver. Nick McKay and Ben Cleaver looked great, but it was Kentucky's perseverance in game 2, Texas with big hits in game 3.
Right. And dude, I thought Texas was going to be toast game 3 because anybody who was anybody in that bullpen threw on that 15-inning game. And they weren't stress-free innings by any means, but look, I think do what? I'm sorry. What'd you say? Oh, he muted himself. But yeah, I watched that whole 15-inning game, and like I just kept sitting there thinking, well, is one team going to change their strategy or not? Because it felt like Texas had a rhythm of the same. It was like the same exact pitch sequence for every batter from the 8th inning to the 15th inning. Like, I could almost predict what pitch was coming next because they knew that if they kept Kentucky off base, they're not going to hit a home run or like an extra base hit or whatever. Like, they're hitting for singles. And then if they did have somebody on base, it's fine. Like, they knew that Kentucky was going to sack bunt and Texas was going to pick up the ball and throw it to first base and get an out. So, man, the styles of
By the
baseball
way,
were
Ben, their bunt defense
very
was
polarizing.
impeccable this weekend.
Guys,
I
we have
asked
10.
Galvan how much prep they did. Dude, they picked off on sack bunts the lead runner. I think it was 3 or 4 times in the last 2 games of that
Yeah,
series.
Texas was rooting for them to sack bunt until the final play where right fielder didn't back him up, but whatever.